Well, welcome back to Beach Chair Chats. Is here a sunny day here in New England. Happy because the sun is out because it's been raining the last day or so. So, in the spirit of Beach Chair Chats, it would rather be at the beach, and it's the perfect weather for that. But I'm happy to have a great guest here, Sondra Fellows. How are you today, Sondra?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Well, like I said, besides being in an office today, I'd rather be outside, but it's almost quitting time for me here in a little bit, so I will plan to do that shortly. But talk a little bit about you, right? You've obviously you talk about mindfulness and wellness, but if you had to describe what you do currently, how would you describe that to somebody?
What I do currently, currently I am a certified wellness coach. So I work with clients on a holistic wellness, and I'm also a meditation instructor, a yoga instructor, and a fitness instructor. So I teach at several studios. I also work with several private clients, and I'm working on launching my online studio, which is very exciting.
Shout out to the online studio. That'll be great. So what does
Yeah.
holistic wellness look like? Is that it just, I think of wellness in some capacity. So what does holistic wellness look like?
Yeah. So in the wellness coaching world, we really look at five different sectors. And so, a lot of people think about movement, they think about nutrition, right? And movement and nutrition are two of the five sectors that we look at. But we also look at sleep because sleep is so important.
It
We
is.
look at recovery and regeneration because for those people out there that love to exercise and don't give themselves a break, it can lead to burnout.
Mhm.
And then the fifth sector, which I think is the most important sector, is mental health. And that really looks into everything from mindfulness to, getting out in nature
Mhm.
to positive social connections. And if we're really focused on our mental health and we're making conscious decisions, then I find that everything else kind of falls in place.
Yes.
Right. And so I always keep that as the number one most important aspect of holistic health.
Well, and I think that goes in a lot of ways because obviously you said sleep. I'm like, I wish I loved to sleep more than my standard 5 hours, hopefully uninterrupted sleep, 6 hours on a good day. Um, but you're right, mental health is huge, right? Physical health, movement, but all those things assist with mental health, right? Sleep helps with mental health. All
Yep.
those things is important. So, what are things some of the biggest challenges that people you work with, with their own mental health challenges? What do they face? What are they coming to you with?
I mean, I get a lot of busy professionals that have families, especially I work with a lot of females currently because in today's era, the women were expected to, run the household, take care of the kids,
Hmm.
hold a job. And there's just so many different priorities pulling these professional women in so many different directions that they tend to feel very, very scattered.
Hmm.
And the problem is I find a lot of times is that they think that adding one little thing to their plate is going to just tip them over into
Yeah.
absolute burnout. And so what I do with my clients is I work with them to see if we can add meditation or mindfulness to their life in an
Hmm.
effort to help them really see their priorities and really take a look at everything. And one of my favorite quotes is, if it's not a heck yes, it's a heck no in your
Okay.
life. Um,
It's censored right there. I got that. I would, yeah, but yeah, I get that. If it's not that, it should be that. I think you talked about with women and stuff too. They do carry a lot, right? Especially they carry lots. They wear lots of hats. And if you had asked any woman, I'm speaking for myself as a man, right? But women carry juggle every ball there is. And I think there's an innate fear for women to drop one, right? And
yeah,
if they drop one of those balls, what happens? Does the world end for their child, their spouse, their coworker, if they drop one of those? So mental health for women is huge because, and I see that idea that the add one more ball to the juggle, right? Will it cause something else to fall?
yeah,
Right. And I think even speaking of women too, women, you talk about the roles, they bear the brunt during COVID. Not to talk about COVID, but if you talk about anybody who took it hard during COVID was women, because even for career minded people, because you talk about even you had a career like outside before you started doing this was big in corporate and stuff like that. Lots of non mindfulness, but women do need that, right? A sense of a place to go so they can breathe, to know everything's going to be okay, and that they got it all together, right?
Yeah.
And so, talk about your journey to this, because, like I said, this wasn't your first stop, right? So, what was your career like before you took on this mindfulness and wellness coaching?
Yeah. So I was young, and I'll just be very vulnerable here. I grew up in a very mentally and physically abusive family,
Okay.
and I knew, like, even as a young child, in my core, I was like, there's got to be a better way. And
Yeah.
so when I was looking at what to study in college, I decided to study psychology because I just
Natural.
really wanted, yeah,
Yeah.
naturally.
Help
And
study
I
what's
was
happened to. It's basically help to study what's going on, right? Psychology is one of those areas, but yeah, it's continue. Sorry.
Yeah, no, no, it's okay. And so I got my bachelor's degree in psychology. I thought I was going to be into human resources. I got a human resource management certificate, and then I was just trying to figure out what to do with my career. And I took a class called the social psychology of propaganda, and it was
Okay.
basically using psychology to sell products. And it got me
Pretty
very
much.
interested in marketing and advertising. And happily, I'm born in Santa Cruz, California, and I was living in
Mhm.
Santa Cruz, California. And our local amusement park, which is known as the world's best seaside amusement park, the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, was hiring a marketing assistant. And I I was just, you know what? I'm just going to get my foot in the door. It's a great company, a huge company. They really like to kind of lift their employees from within. It's a very large company. They employ about 2,000 during the peak of the season during the
Mhm.
summer, and it just started a career in marketing, and I absolutely loved it. In my most recent role for the last 15 years, I was the advertising and creative director for the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. So that was very exciting to be a part of something that gave people so much joy.
Yes.
But at the same time, on the side, I was still really dedicating my life. About 22 years ago, when I started in marketing, I also started in fitness.
Hmm.
And I just really got into teaching fitness, and then I got into yoga, meditation, mindfulness. Like, completely changed my life for
Hmm.
the better. And yeah, I ended up meeting my husband about 2 years ago, and we decided to let go of my career and shift my
There you
focus
go.
to doing my passion, which is mental and physical health and wellness full time.
Do you get him to do yoga as well? Is he a certified yoga master? Like a, does he,
He is not a certified yoga
okay.
master, but
Is that
the
even a
one thing,
term? But yeah, yoga master. I don't know. I just made that up, but
yeah, the reason why he is my husband, I kid you not,
mhm.
he got so excited about all my classes and would come to my yoga class, my
Okay.
Pilates class, my bar class, my TRX class, my body pump class, my body combat kickboxing class. Like,
That sounds
he
fun.
showed, it was amazing. He showed up, and he was so excited, and it was like working out together. It
Mhm.
gives you, it's like shared trauma. So we
It
yeah,
is, there's a bond with exercise with people. It's an
yeah.
intimate bond that people share things together. And, for him, it might have been some new things he's never done before to actually experience that, which is a great thing for him. And when you think about, doing this work, I kind of want to, it's kind of come full circle, right? Shared trauma. You just became very vulnerable, talking about your upbringing, of going through what you did, studying psychology, understanding probably the how trauma affects people and how
Mhm.
even through your development as you got older, you probably realize how it might have dictated things in your life and things of that nature to where you're at today. I do like that when you talked about the work that you did in marketing, the sociology of propaganda. When you think about even I put this on social media, it is propaganda in some way. If you're pushing information to get people to go one way, is a lot. And I think mental health wise, helping people just remove themselves from the information saturation that is the world we live in. And so it's good that you have this outlet now that you've made this transition to the new world. How has your mental health been since you've made the change?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. All right. It's a great word. I love the word fantastic. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I always say, like, we spend the most time at the office. So
Hmm.
you have to love what you do. And I have
Hmm.
to say, I loved working at an amusement park on the beach with some amazing coworkers.
That sounds fun.
Um, but I also, marketing changed. Like when I started in marketing 22 years ago, it was a people business.
Hmm.
And I'm very much a people person. And I think by understanding who we are and what we need, and then we can figure out kind of,
Yeah.
what we can do where it like really feeds our soul.
Mhm.
And just in the last 22 years, it went from, relationships with magazine, newspaper reps, TV, radio reps to Meta ads and Google
Mhm.
ads and KPIs and UTM codes and Google Analytics and chasing
Mhm.
people around the internet. And I
Yeah.
found myself like in the last few years of marketing, just being constantly in data and on the computer and
Mhm.
not being, in a people business. And so I knew in my heart of hearts, I was like, I need to
Yeah.
follow my passion. And the thing is with having your own business, as a wellness coach and an instructor, it's like, I still have to do marketing, right? It's
You
a
do.
necessary evil, but at least I know what I'm putting out there and what I'm sharing is helping people.
Well, you get control it, right? And you're right about, I'm not in marketing, like a business side. My background's psychology, but there is that excessiveness, right? Even for this podcast, right? If, since now I've doubled down, said I'm doing this thing, I'm finding myself like this is getting exhausting already. It's only been like a few weeks, because you have to push and do this and try to get engagement and get people to follow and get people to be on and how you write your posts to get people to connect. It's a lot for me with no background knowledge. So I look online for tips, and so it can be burnout. So that's one of the questions I like to ask about when people push too hard, right? You recognized it in yourself. You have to pivot, make a change because it was becoming what you were not used to doing. So how do people know when they're pushing too hard versus just being disciplined? How do you help people understand that to make that change?
I think I think when you're like really pushing and you're going and you're going and you're going and you're not pausing and you're not filling your cup. And this goes for both men and women, and women especially, is we're constantly pouring into others, right?
Mhm.
Like we're pouring into our kids at home, we're pouring into our household, we're pouring into, um, everybody around us, and even in our work, we're taking care of our employees, we're taking care of our coworkers, and we're going, going, going. And I think, once it starts to not kind of satisfy our soul,
Mhm.
and we become mindless, we become more robotic, then I think, it's time to just pause, reflect, and just reevaluate. Is everything that is taking my attention, is it a
Mhm.
hell yes
Yes.
right now? And I think,
No,
and that's
yes. Yeah.
the big, and that's the big thing, is that if you're constantly pouring into others and pouring into others and you're depleting your cup, that's when real burnout happens. And a lot of times people can hit a rock bottom and it's hard to come back from that. So, getting a little bit of intervention and just, bringing in a sense of consciousness to like, how am I spending my hours? How am I spending my time? How am I spending my energy? And am I giving any of that energy to refill my cup?
I think
So
that's a great message, and I'm making notes for myself here because I'm trying to. Am I getting like a free coaching lesson by doing this podcast? Because I'm the king of burnout or doing too much, and I begin. You're right for men and women, especially for women. You're always caring. You're always thinking about everybody's well-being, whether it is people you work with or your family or your friends, your neighbors, and you're constantly pouring your cup out, right? So, and it's both for everybody. So, for me, I'm like, geez, I need to start doing all this stuff now. But but burnout's a real thing. So, grounding yourself, if you have to do something or encourage people to say, how do you spend just like 5 minutes? If they had to do mindfulness for 5 minutes, what is something that they could do to practice mindfulness? This was a short amount of time.
Oh, and that's all you need. And that's the one thing that I love to teach people is that mindfulness and meditation, the benefits, I won't even go into the benefits, but they can
Hmm.
increase intelligence. They can do so much for your life, and it did so much to change my life. But also, it's so accessible, it's so easy,
Hmm.
and it is absolutely free, if not like utterly affordable. And there's really a lot of science that shows even just adding 3 to 5 minutes, just that. And
Hmm.
especially at the beginning of your day, if you just add 3 to 5 minutes, especially at the beginning of your day, it just sets you up for an absolutely amazing day where you're like breathing, you're conscious, you're not rushing, you're going slow, being very deliberate. And essentially, all you need to do is find a comfortable seat. I've always meditated in a chair.
Hmm.
Could be a folding chair, could be a kitchen table chair.
Hmm.
Um, you don't have to sit, on the ground with your knees wide open and your legs in a pretzel. Like, no.
Yes. So something just sitting.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you just find a nice, comfortable seat. And if you're new to meditation and you haven't paused and really sat with yourself, a lot of
Hmm.
people, we distract ourselves with these cell phones
Hmm.
constantly. Even when we're at a stop sign,
Yep.
we're like, oh, let me just double check and see if she got back to me on that one,
Yeah. It's
And
like,
it's like,
yes.
pause,
Um,
just be with yourself for a moment. So, if you have trouble being with yourself and
hmm.
pausing and easing distractions, one really great way to do it is to either meditate in your bed or
Hmm.
meditate on the floor with your feet up the wall. And you
Okay.
just shift your booty to the wall, and that'll like really help with anxiety if any anxiety starts to arise. But essentially, you just want to find a nice, comfortable seat. If
Hmm.
you tend to fall asleep very easily, I don't. So it's
No.
not a problem. But I know my husband can fall asleep on a dime.
Mm-hmm.
And the military teaches them that very, very,
Yes.
very well. And so if you do fall asleep very easily, you want more of a meditative posture, a more upright spine, a more like alert posture.
Hmm.
And then all you do is soften your gaze or close your eyes. And the most common anchor for mindfulness and meditation to really anchor us to the present moment is the breath.
Yep.
And it's as simple as taking a conscious inhale and a conscious exhale.
Hmm.
And you can set a timer on your phone. You can set your phone to do not disturb. Just set, let's say you have 3 minutes, 3 minutes, set
Hmm.
it. I even have some clients that have a busy household. They have a lot of kids, they have a lot of pets. And I say, lock yourself in the bathroom, take
That
your phone with you. The toilet makes a great meditation
it
throne.
does. It's a nice sound. You just keep flushing. It's like a white noise. It's like a waterfall, like a flow of a river. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
So
true.
essentially you just find some space that
Hmm.
like will allow you not to be interrupted for 3 to 5 minutes, and then just watch your inhales and watch your exhales. And then the trick is, our brains 95% of the time they're constantly thinking about the past, like
Hmm.
I should have done this, I should have done that, and next time I'll do this, da, 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 da. Or we're thinking about the future, like, oh my god, this test is coming up, or oh, I have to talk to this person I don't really want to talk to. And so as we breathe, we bring the mind back to the present moment. And
Yeah.
so as you meditate, if thoughts start to arise, like,
Hmm.
oh, I can't forget this one thing. No, no, no. You just let that thought go and then just dial your attention back to the breath.
Hmm.
And that's the practice. That's the gift. And
Well,
3 minutes a day, it'll make huge, huge, huge gains mentally. And just one more thing, it's very similar to, I always associate this with like muscle gains, right? Like
mhm.
you go to the gym one day and you're like
Yeah.
pumping iron, you're like, yeah, I'm going to get strong and
Hmm.
big. And you're really not going to see much results
No.
after one time at the gym. But if you go again and again and again and again to the gym, you're going to get stronger and stronger and toned and
Hmm.
healthier. Same with mental health. Like the more mindfulness, the more meditation, the more we'll actually start to notice. And then we actually start to notice even more. We start to notice the subtleties. Like when I started meditating, I started noticing the wildflowers on the side of the road.
Hmm.
I had never noticed them before. Same road I had traveled
Oh yeah.
every day for 20 years. And I'm like, this road is beautiful. Like
I,
I'm,
I'm a
I,
firm believer in that. The little things, right? When we get so busy, this perfect example, you see something, you just stop, take it in. Or when I'm out on a run, same thing. I just running, just like going to the gym, going back to a training plan for races, even though I'm not going to run a race, but there's intentionality the day in, you show up, But stopping sometimes, just because you have to do this doesn't mean you can't stop for a minute and embrace that stuff, right? Slow things down, which makes it important. Like checking out, unplugging, we have cell phones, we have technology, we're always plugged in. It's good to just for your own mental health, always unplug. I'm happy to turn on Do Not Disturb or have my phone on silent all the time. And if I miss a text, I'll respond like 3 hours later. I'm sorry, but I just missed it. But I think that's important. I think one of the big questions too, as you get close to wrapping up here, if a listener took one thing from this conversation, what would it be?
Add a little bit of mindfulness or meditation to your daily life, and you will see amazing results.
Well, that's perfect. Because one of the things too, like I where I like to meditate, because it is beach chair chats. The beach is the favorite place, and for me, I'm fortunate. Like within 5 minutes, I can walk down to it and sit. So I do try to practice that if I can in the morning. Now it's warming up here. I know you're down south in Georgia, so right, it's warm there all the time. In New England, we're finally getting some reprieve from winter, so it's not excruciatingly cold, so we can sit outside and practice. And so I hope you continue to practice this mindfulness. It's been great having you on today. It's an exciting journey you've been on. It seems like you're in a great place personally yourself. So just keep doing what you're doing. Excited to see what happens with yours on the end and stay tuned to that. So see what you develop. That'd be pretty cool to see. So thank you for being on today.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.